Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John French, and believe it or not, I'm from England. I'm over here in Texas at Lakeway, and I practice an old English rural craft called hedgelaying, which I don't think has taken on in the United States, primarily because there doesn't seem to be many hedgelaying plants. Although I must say that there was a plant called osage, or a shrub tree, that was famous in the 30s. FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, to stop this erosion of the soil, dust storms, he ordered a program from 1930 to 1942 to plant this osage on the plains to stop this soil erosion. And it's a very fantastic tree. It resembles an English hawthorn with the prickles, and also forms a very good barrier. And they managed to plant 222 million trees between 1930 and 1942, and that covered approximately 18,000 miles. Today it's difficult to find any, and I've had to order some, and I've planted them, but it'll be at least 8 years before we have anything we can lay. So I've attempted to lay a bit of Texas sage, which is very old and very brittle. And the idea is to cut 2/3 of the way through the stem, bend it over, leaving it attached. So you have a barrier still, and where you cut it, it will coppice. Coppicing is where you get new shoots. So you're going to have a new plant there, and you've still got a barrier there. In England, we used to use this to as field dividers to keep the livestock in, and in fact they used to use the osage for that in Texas, but as I said before, it's quite difficult to find. And as you can see here, I've cut through these saplings. It's very old and it doesn't look very good, and bent it over, and I'm hoping this is going to grow into an osage hedge. Perhaps if we could get everybody interested in Texas to plant along the field boundaries. Unfortunately, with the advent of barbed wire, everybody stopped planting osage, and I think they chopped it down. It would be wonderful in America if we could start this thing of planting osage, because in about 8 years we could form a Hedgelaying Society of America, because you lay it and you form a stop-proof barrier, and also it's a transmission route for wildlife. So you would be enhancing the landscape and at the same time doing something environmentally friendly. I'm rather old, so I'm just going to demonstrate on this. I've banged a piece of a stem of a shrub into the ground to give a demonstration, I hope, how we do the actual pleaching. Now, the tools we use are what we call billhooks in England. I have a double-edged one here, and believe it or not, I have an American axe, which I'm very fond of, and this is a wonderful tool for hedgelaying because it's about 3.5 pounds, New Jersey pattern, and it's the right weight, about 3.5 to 4 pounds, and it's got a wide blade, which you want when you're doing this pleaching. Now I'm going to demonstrate this. As I'm over 80 years old, you'll have to pardon me creaking as I go down, but we start cutting about 4 or 5 times the height of the width. So this is about, I don't know, 1.5 inches. So we're going to be out about 5 inches, 4 inches. So we go in like this. And then you gradually bend it over slightly, thin it down, otherwise it'll split out. The thicker you can get this tongue, the better, because the cadmium will be, that's the nutrients that come up from the roots, will go up. Now, if you're good, and I'm not sure this is going to work, if you're good, you can take off the stub there of 45 degrees with your axe. I usually use a saw, but I thought I'd give a bit of a demonstration. I hope it works. It didn't work, but that is how you do it. And we tied it up a bit. Well, I'll tidy it up with a saw, but it's got to be at 45 degrees. I just thought I'd show you a bit of axe. This, because it's stuck in the ground, it's not fixed like one would have on a stem in a hedge. It's all right to leave a bit of play in it because that holds the hedge up at about 45 degrees. and the cabion will go up there and you'll have a living hedge. Well, that's about as much as I can show you. I mean, the tools we use, these are English tools. This was made by a blacksmith in about 1900. This is what we call a Yorkshire billet, which is handy because it's got a double blade. We use that on small stems, but as I said, I use an American axe, which American steel was just as good as British steel, and this axe is an ideal axe for doing hedge laying. I hope that we may have started a bit of interest in this sort of thing in the United States. So I've made this small YouTube sequence. I'm going back to England tomorrow, but I will be back in July. Obviously one does this in the winter here, but it'd be very interesting to know whether there are any field boundaries left in Texas with Osage. Anyway, that is my story. Very nice talking to you all. Bye for now.